1420 podcast show. Oh, Jesus. 14. I forgot again, Dave. I forgot again. 1420 podcast show 104. The Zoom thing, where you think we get the hang of it after 60 of these darn things or 50, whatever we're on these things, but hit a different button and there's this voice that comes on, say we're recording. That's why I hit record. We should know that by now. But anyways, 1420 podcast show 104, May the 27th, 2021. I'm on the Bud Lights tonight, Dave. The beer that never fills you up and never lets you down. It's one of those things that you try the craft beers, but sometimes going back to Old Faithful doesn't hurt.
I hear what you're saying, and I've been just a Bud man myself, but I went out and I didn't go get a growler, but I bought a tester pack. This one's from Session IPA out of Surrey, British Columbia, or Central City Brewers. This one's called the Red Racer Sessions Pale Ale.
From Surrey.
I like it. This is my first sip ever. Oh, it's a light beer, but it's delicious. And I like my IPAs.
There was a saying when I lived in Vernon, BC, Surrey girls are easy. I never found out if that was true or not, but there was always there's a bit of a mystery, I guess you could say, not a mystery, but a mystery about Surrey girls being easy. I don't know. I've never had the opportunity to test that knowledge, and I don't plan on it. But anyways.
Well, if Surrey girls were rolling around the interior of BC, they were on holidays, right?
So they're on holidays and look up to no good, but it takes two to tango,
looking for a
right?
townie.
So
yeah, exactly.
That's the thing. Just watched the Leafs lose in overtime. They're going to, well, she's at game 6, and we're going to talk about game 6 a little bit, but you got to think in Leafland, he's got the butthole's going to be clenching a little bit because they got fans in the stands on Saturday night, little extra jump. Win a game, Price gets on a heater in a game 7. You never know.
You do never know. And if I was a Leafs fan, I do have a bit of faith in, if I was a Leafs fan, I would have faith in Austin Matthews and Mitch Marner. I think those two guys are going to show up.
Well, eventually they have to. They haven't showed up yet in this playoff series yet. You think that eventually they got to do something, or else if your best players aren't your best players, you're going to lose.
Right, and even that Nylander's having a hell of a series, and since he held out and signed for big money, this is the first time he's really shown he deserves that kind of dough. The one I would have my eye on is between the pipes, and because if he doesn't show up, it's a game 7.
Yeah, that's exactly it. The last night we were fortunate enough to have 3 game 6s. Only one is going to end up being a game 7. The atmosphere at the, I don't even know what they call that place anymore, out in Long Island, the Coliseum, the
Uniondale,
the Nassau Coliseum,
I think it's the Coliseum,
the Coliseum. The atmosphere in that place, it only seats 14,000 full capacity. There was 9,000 there last night. The place was rocking. The goals were fast and furious. The first period and a half, it was 5-3 final. Before I even got home last night, it was 2-2. A couple minutes. 5 minutes into the first period. Man, you got to feel for the Pittsburgh Penguins a little bit. But to go into a playoff round with that kind of a team and the legacy that they have, and they're still trying to build on something. Malkin said he wants to be the first Russian to ever win 4 Stanley Cups. And to go in with goaltending like that ain't going to win you many Ranchland championships, let alone Stanley Cup championships.
And it's really such a shame, but that going in, and I don't know what kind of flexibility they had with the cap and that, but at the end of the day, like one of your sayings, right? Like, show me a good goalie, I'll show you a good coach, right? Yeah. And it affects you. And I remember, just in soccer, we had a goalie for a year that was good. You couldn't trust him at all. And you play different in front of him. It's not like you're taking chances, but now you're being so conservative. It affects the team play right from your goal scorer up front to your best D-man in the back. Everybody is thinking, I can't fuck up. It's like playing in overtime all the time. You're playing not to give the other team a chance because you can't trust the guy between the pipes.
That's just it. And that happened with you could see, and the way a team can attack is differently because you always got to be thinking defense first instead of attack. And if you're already behind by 2 goals, there's no coming back from that when you're always thinking, oh boy. And then the body language on the bench, thinking, man, he should have had that one. Like you hate to, Tristan Jarry's a young kid, and you hate to pounce on him, but 2 games were his fault for sure in that series, and it just compounded from there. And at the end of the day, he just wasn't good enough.
And maybe it was good for Pittsburgh to be down 2-0 because now you're saying fuck it, like we can't cover his ass now. Like when we're playing to cover his ass, he lets in 2. We need goals, and so he better make some saves, otherwise we're going to lose this game in nothing. And then they tied it up, but then when it mattered most, once again, right?
Didn't get the save. It was the game 6 always supersedes obviously the best two words in sports, which is game 7. All 3 of the games last night, I was hoping for the team that was down 3-2. We got the one with Talbot pitched a shutout last night against the Golden Knights. That one's going 7. Minnesota had some good success this year against the Vegas Golden Knights. Man, oh man, we talked about the other night a little bit off the air, or maybe I was talking with Deanne about this. I don't know. Conversations meld into one or another. But if Vegas can't pull this together and win around, go like they were were they too successful early on? Because now fans expect what's going on, and now if they don't win, they're in cap hell as it is.
We're gonna find out, aren't we?
Like,
Because and you think, and I heard on talk radio today that even we talked about it when Jim was on 100. That's when we made our predictions, and we couldn't predict that division because that was that night Colorado won their last game of the year against the Kings to get first place. You think Vegas would have rather played St. Louis that first round?
100%.
And and they're sitting
That was
guys
a gimme
because
series.
and then but with the salary cap and a little bit of shit luck of injuries along the way as well. But you roll the dice with your salary cap, and when the games start meaning something, that one fucking point.
Yeah.
And they would have played St. Louis.
And that's that might be the difference between going to the conference finals or being done on Friday night. And that should be an interesting Friday night. The Vegas Golden Knights, Minnesota Wild, which I think is the worst name in hockey. But anyways, game 6s, like I said, I was cheering for all the teams who were down 3-2. And game 6s tend to have a lot of drama just for this reason. The Leafs are going to see that on Saturday night with the Canadiens now. There's been a few historical game 6s that led to game 7s that became inconsequential almost. The one of them, a couple in baseball, one in hockey not so much inconsequential, but the game 6 Red Sox Mets 86.
The Mookie game.
The Mookie game. People forget that was game 6 and not game 7. The Mets could have come back and won, or the Red Sox could have came back and won the game 7, and you would never known who Bill Buckner was.
That was to tie the game. The Bill Buckner one, right? Yeah. Like it never lost.
That error lost them the game.
Lost them the game. No,
but it didn't lose them in the World Series.
No, it put them in a position to lose the game. They still played one more inning after that.
No, it was over after that play. For sure.
I disagree.
Okay, well,
we'll look it up later. Tim, figure it out. You're gonna figure it out, and then I'll let you post it.
Yeah. Anyways,
I'm right.
Like you still had a chance for a game 7 for the Red Sox to come from behind or to come back and win that game.
Yeah.
And they did.
Right.
So you can blame whoever you want on it, but there was a wild pitch that happened before the Buckner play. There was a walk, this and that happened before Buckner even got his name into the lore. So game 6, man, oh man, that pulls a lot of pressure. Like is there more pressure on the team who's down 3-2 or up 3-2? Like you want to finish it and not give that chance, because the team that's down 3-2, yes, you have everything to lose because you're going to lose the series, But man, you want to step on someone's throat and call it good.
Without a doubt. Without a doubt. You always want. I understand, like, being up 3-0 and or like 2-1. That game 4 is so big.
Pivotal. Yeah.
Yeah, because 3-1 and 2-2 are obviously two completely different things, and then it gives a team, especially a team of professionals, who aren't run by emotion so much, or even if they are, if you can put it together and like we get 3 days off, and like it's not even days off, it's just like not putting 3 less games is so much less wear and tear at playoff pace.
Yeah.
Like the physical toll on the NHL playoffs, I couldn't even imagine.
Night after
It'd be like playing an NFL game every night.
Yeah. The other one that comes to mind, it's a hockey related thing. Calgary Flames, Tampa Bay Lightning, 2004. The Jelena non-goal, which was a goal if there was a replay back then. The Leafs or the Flames should have won the Stanley Cup that night and didn't. Go back to Tampa. Valiant effort, they still lose.
Yeah.
It seems like the teams that have the shot to win don't.
Yeah, I don't know if it's selective memory, but it seems like the game 6 winner more often than not is the game 7 winner. The Bruins, and when they beat Vancouver, right?
Yeah.
Vancouver could have won the cup in Boston, and then they lost
the other way around. Yeah. And then another one was the Bartman game with the Cubs. It was game 6. The Cubs could have come back game 7 and won that game, and they didn't either.
We should call that the Moises Alou game, or like just like the non-consequential made-up GOAT game. Because that was not Moises Alou was never catching that.
Never catching that ball. I don't think so either. I mean, he had the opportunity to catch that ball, and he didn't. Game 6s, I think they're so underrated because anything can happen. And the Leafs are going to see that on, like we just talked about, the Leafs are going to see that on Saturday night, that if they got some fans and stands at the Bell Center and anything could happen in that game, a little jump in their steps, people cheering, you give a little bit of life to a team, and then Price gets in the heater on game 7. If he outplays Campbell, which if it gets to a game 7, Leafs Nation doesn't win a playoff round again since 2004.
As a side, so now with that game 6, they're going to have fans in the stands. Okay, so 3,000. I would imagine the Bell Center or Molson Center. What's that one called?
Bell. It's the biggest one in hockey. It seats 20,000.
So out of those 25,000, I'm going to guess 18,000 are season ticket holders. So they're going to have a draw for those season tickets, and they're going to say nobody in the box. You got to sit in the fans, and everybody's going to be happy for the opportunity. Does one person picked in that of the season ticket holders? Does one person scalp their ticket?
1,000 do. I think a lot do.
Or if you're a season ticket holder and this is your first chance to see hockey in 2 years, you think that? Oh,
okay. I put it up on Kijiji or StubHub or whatever.
But you're already a season ticket holder for the Montreal Canadiens. You're not light.
Yeah, your wallet's pretty full anyways. I'd put it out there. I'd put out the feelers. Dave, you can never have too much money.
No, that's agreed. But like, if you have the money to be a season ticket holder, the amount you can get for that game, it's not. I understand it, but I don't know.
That's a tough one. I mean, I'd put it out there. I'd put the feelers out there, and I wouldn't advertise a whole bunch. I wouldn't be disappointed to go. But if I can get 10,000 for a ticket.
And if you can rationalize it, like saying like, I got to visit my dad tomorrow, and he's, even though he has both shots, I only have one, and I would hate to give him the ticket. I would give him the vid, so we better sell ours.
Yeah.
So you can rationalize.
In your own head, you'd rationalize a little bit. I don't know. I'd put the feelers out there. Like I'd have a minimum for sure of what I would sell.
Or if you have a gambling problem, and the wife
And
like, oh, did we get the tickets? Did we
and the
get it? No.
casinos are opening up again. So maybe I need that 10 grand. Who knows? We all have different situations in our life, Dave. There's no doubt about that. But
That'd be a lot. That'd be a nice little stack of gray money for you.
we got a game 6 tonight with Carolina and Nashville. Carolina's clearly the better team, but Nashville's plugging away, made a series of it. Who knows what's going to happen? Game 6 on Saturday night with the Leafs. They're Leaf. They've been known to leaf it. There's a reason why there's a saying called leafing it. So it's going to be fun to watch. I'm not cheering against the Leafs on Saturday night, but if they lose and there's a game 7, I'm all about a game 7.
No, I'll agree with that. I think it'll be fun to see fans in the stand. Even a small crowd is going to make a hell of a lot of noise in Montreal. That'll be fun and nice and reassuring to see. And I'd rather watch a game 7 than a game 6. So yeah,
Absolutely.
On game 6 for sure, I'm going to say Les Habitants.
There we go. The Premier 12. There we go. Anyways, 1420 podcast, where everywhere you get your podcast. Let people know about the show. Things are progressing nicely. Summertime's coming up. Got your artwork coming up. Everything should be done. Planting tomatoes this weekend. Are you, Dave?
Oh no,
potting flowers. What are you guys doing?
No, we did it last, not in the Maylong, the weekend before, because it was a beautiful weekend. So but from Thursday we had to do the thing only old people do.
Yeah.
Put fucking sheets over our tomato plants and then all our plants and collect all the little flowering pots that my wife works hard on. And well, don't want to do it twice.
Barely want to do it once.
I did it once, and putting sheets on and off to not have to do it again. Like
you barely want to plant those things once, let alone twice. Anyways, 1420 podcast. Make sure you guys listen to everywhere you get your podcasts. 1420 podcast brought to you tonight by a brewery in Surrey and Bud Light. That never fills you up, never lets you down. I'm going to put out a poll there. Are Surrey girls easy? Yes or no, or maybe so. Who? I don't know. That's just a joke. They can't all be. It must be just a myth. But anyways, Dave, we try not to make this a Yankee centric show, but it goes to a lot of teams out there now in the baseball season. Guys are getting injured a little bit, nicked up here and there. Hockey season, it happens. Football season, it happens all the time. If you're a GM who on a team that's supposed to, advance to the second round of the playoffs or to the conference championship in football or to whatever you want to say, and all of a sudden the injury bug hits you halfway through the season or a third of the way into the season, do you panic and go, geez, I better make a deal here and bring something in because I don't know how long this guy's going to be out? Or do you sit back and say, okay, well, we built a minor league system. We have some guys that, and every sport's different. Well, football, you have a practice squad. Maybe you can plug a guy in here and there and fill guys in because football can do that a little bit. But when do you, as a GM, do you have to appease the fan base more so than as well as the ownership and say, God, I better do something with this team or else we're in next year land already. And no one likes to hear as a fan that we're in next year land.
In my opinion, it's totally dependent on the sport. Like, unless like a position player in baseball, I don't know, it would have to be your single most productive hitter because there's always someone to take the field. But you can't, there's too many games and too many players that have and you would never do it for an ace because you can't replace an ace. There's not a trade to be made to replace that guy.
No.
So like in baseball, I'm going to say unequivocally no. In football, in the NFL, it's about the quarterback, right? And how bad he's hurt, because how many fucking chances did Jeff George get back in the day?
Well,
like Jay Cutler came out of retirement for Miami that year with Tannehill, I believe. Like it's just
like the thing I'm getting at is if you think you have a shot, because most teams know that they don't. and they don't want to tell their fan base that, but if you think you have a shot, are you almost obliged to go out and make a deal? But what deal do you make when you got a guy hurt and if he comes back next year? Okay, so now I got this guy and this guy that I replaced him with.
No, and it has to be, if anything, if you're going to add and trade and perhaps if you believe you have a shot, you're getting close to trade deadline day, like the lunch pail guys, the ham and eggers, like you don't win cups with them, but every cup winner has them. Those kind of players, because when someone really good goes down, that person is irreplaceable, and then it becomes more of an analytical thing. Well, we can have these three guys kind of replace. We missed that guy, which was a huge chip, but no, these three guys are better than those two guys.
So are you better? Are you better off? I mean, if you're the Pittsburgh Penguins, I'm just throwing this name that's out there because it came to mind. If you're the Penguins and Crosby goes down in game 56 and he ain't coming back, do you just mail the season in?
Yep. You try your hardest and do what you can.
But you know, as a GM, but as hopefully a fan base would know, well, that's the season.
Exactly, because like if your best player, like whether it be Crosby or Malkin, it doesn't really matter.
Yeah.
You need them both healthy and going full tilt to have a chance. And it sucks, injuries happen, but then now we're gonna dip further into our future resources for a band-aid so we don't get swept in the first round. Like, to what end? Like, why would you mortgage any part of your future?
Well, I mean,
when the writing's on the wall.
I've said it before, and I saw like it's not a Red Linsky original by any means, but championships are cool, or prospects are cool, but championships are cooler. But if your main guy's out, you're not winning.
Right.
So you might as well hold on to things. But you just hate as a fan base, like the Oilers are probably going through right now, saying, well, here's another year. Well, we've given you how many fucking years as a fan base? I'm buying, and now my season tickets are more expensive because we're in a new building, and now I got to give you another year. Like, Jesus. Like, I don't know. I don't know what the solution is, or if there is a solution. It's just it's a fifth-rate podcast debate, but it's just like when do fans go, okay, like pull the deal here, like let's do something to get over this ridiculous hump we've been on, not slump, I said hump, like to make it so you want me to watch.
I agree. Like I couldn't imagine being a fucking, well, Leafs fans, they at least get to lick the jar now and then, right? Like they've been close. Like Leafs fans are kind of like a Cubbies fan, right? They lick the jar every now and then, but it always turns out they find a way to screw themselves.
You know what?
But when you're a fan of like the Cleveland Browns, or like they're awful for all the time ever. Like making the playoffs is making the Super Bowl for them.
And that's one thing I don't understand. Like to be a fan of a mediocre, less than mediocre team that doesn't even appear to be even trying. Like I don't understand how professional franchises can be inept for so long when these guys, they all have the same, not the players, but all the GMs have the same talent pool to get their scouts from, their coaches from, all of it.
I'm telling you this.
In every sport.
Oh, without a doubt. And like, how do you keep doing it year after year after year? You don't. You fucking get a divorce like I did. So on that note, if there's anyone in Buffalo or a Sabres fan that wants to divorce their team,
just do
because that's the exact same thing that the Oilers went through. Exact. They're mirror of all these high draft picks and just pissing all over their shoes and can't figure it out. Talk to me, DM me on Twitter, 1420 Dave, or 1420 Dave, and I'll talk you through a divorce. Sabres fan.
It's just hard. It's hard to imagine how you beg your fans and you don't do anything to improve your team after an injury or after a free agent leaves or whatever happens, and then these teams just stay in mediocrity or if a team's on the verge of winning and they don't make that deal to maybe get to the second level. Like, I understand only one team can win a championship every year, but it seems like more often than not, a lot of the mediocre teams aren't taking that next step to get to maybe winning a round or two. But you go to the Canucks, like the Vancouver Canucks, who made the playoffs how many years in a row, or the Detroit Red Wings is a better example, and are actually awful right now because you don't get that draft pick.
Well, because at the end of the day, right, like the Red Wings were relevant for 10, 15 years, like a
15
long,
for sure.
well, and same with the Sharks without the
Yeah.
Cups, right? They were relevant forever. Then like, so you're so close. So you make that one more trade. You're so close. You make that one more trade. But all of a sudden that core
Is
four,
over.
it's done. Like,
So that's why I'm saying if you're close, you got to go for it.
and that's what, and like, so Detroit was close and they went for it to try just one more. And San Jose got so close, they're reaching for that ring. Okay,
Yeah.
just one more try, and it's over for them. Are we going to see that from Pittsburgh next?
I mean, do you mortgage like mortgaging? We'll get off this right away here, but mortgaging your future, I don't think that's a thing because you don't know how good that kid's going to be that you just drafted.
Well, let's take the mini dynasties, I'm going to call them, in hockey the last 15 years. The Blackhawks, the Penguins, and the Kings.
Yeah.
So the Kings and Blackhawks suck ass right now.
Terrible.
Pittsburgh was relevant, but they just got almost swept.
Yeah. The thing is with the Hawks, they
still have Taves and Kane.
Well, Kane, anyways. Taves, there's up in the air. We talked about that a few weeks ago, but you just okay. And so they're actually going to be not very good for another 3 or 4 years because they have $20 million in the books with those two guys. So, I mean, I would always take a championship. There's no doubt about that.
Without a doubt, like in all those things, like LA is terrible right now.
Couldn't name 10 guys. I followed the Kings for a while there, went to a few games at Staples. They were fantastic to watch. Jonathan Quick, all those guys, Kopitar, Doughty, the whole bit. Awesome. Yeah. And then now they're just not. I mean,
you get too many guys. You can't have if you're going to have 2 $8 million plus players on your team, they have to be by far and away the 2 best players. And then you need a lot of homegrown talent to be able to afford those guys.
Well, we talked about last week. You got it. You got to build through the draft, and you got to have guys that you only pay $700,000 to make it all work because that's the only way you can make it work now. It's just I just find it amazing that when a team's close, player A gets hurt. Most teams don't go get player B to replace them. They just go, well, we'll plug this guy in. You can't expect a $5 million player, or sorry, a $700,000 player to step into a $5 million player spot.
And nobody does.
So you're basically once a guy is out, you've given up on your season.
Well, let's say a superstar. A key cog. Can we call it a key cog?
Cog in the operation.
If a key cog goes down,
you're done.
You're not replacing that.
No, you're done. No, it's tough. I mean, it's a thankless job GMs have. There's only one winner every year in every sport, and I'm sure most of them they do their best. They try, and they got a lot of stuff going on between ownership and agents and everything else. It'd be a fun job, but a thankless job. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah, I wonder, like, how much, like, if you're the GM of any team anywhere, what percent of your day are you thinking, God, I'm so lucky to have this job, is like, oh, fuck, I'm about to kill myself. I don't know what I'm going to do here.
40%, you're like, this. I have a really good job. 60's like, everyone hates me. I can't do anything right.
Like the only, like, you get to have fun on game day if your team wins.
Yeah. But your team wins, you
And
got to
then-
be thinking, I hope that guy didn't score too many goals because next year I got to pay him somehow. Or whatever. You know what I mean? Like it's,
Whatever.
Jesus.
Yeah, like you're
Now
always thinking, but
his agent sending me an email like, oh man, we just want a freaking game. Now I got to think about paying this guy next year, and his agent wants like,
yeah, I think there has to be some joy in that. Like who has more joy after a hard fought win in overtime? The GM or the stick boy?
stick boy, stick boy, without a doubt.
Because he's getting paid in memories.
And I read a book years ago. It was about the bat boy for the Yankees, and he made pretty good cake. And he got to hang out with teammates or not they're teammates, guys in the team after the fact. And some guys just wanted to just go out without the entourage, everything else. And this guy had some pretty good stories. He got a couple World Series rings, and he had some good times.
The bat boy, like when we say a bat boy, how old was this person?
Sometimes they're in their mid-20s, sometimes, or like whatever he was. Like it's
So
it's
what
weird.
would you rather? Would you rather be bat boy for the Yankees or bullpen catcher?
Bullpen catcher.
That's the job.
That's a good job. Like our friend Luke has Ross, who's with the Rangers.
First degree
I
of
believe
separation.
Still.
Yeah.
I think he's still with the Rangers. I watched him work one day, and that's quite the job that old Ross has. A good guy from the conversation I had with him, and it's a fantastic gig. Anyways, beat that one to death. Give us your thoughts on what you'd rather be, the bat boy or a GM or a stick boy, and what you guys think about if teams just give up once a player gets hurt, because it seems to me that Dave and I agree on this. Once a cog in once a cog goes out in the operation,
a key cog
in the operation. Once he's out, that's pretty much her, because
that's why you're paying him.
That's why you're paying a guy $6 million a year. Once that guy's gone, he's gone. Anyways, 1420 podcast, where you get your podcast. Make sure you talk to others about the show. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. We got a few different accounts going on. 1420 Dave. I'm just under Brent Relinski. We got the 1420 account. We got the Rick account. We got it all. And Facebook and Instagram. Dave, if you were, who's a guy who's licking his wounds right now? Sidney Crosby. How would Sidney Crosby be able to listen to the 1420 podcast?
If I was Sidney Crosby and just saying, fuck, I don't want to watch any hockey, I just want to listen to something. I would say, Google, do you have any sports podcasts that are funny that I can listen to tonight? And then if I was Google, I would say, may I play you 1420 sports podcast, Sid? Yeah, that sounds good. Google, play 1420 sports podcast, please.
It's that easy. If Sid can do it, so can you.
He just did.
There we go. 1420 podcast. We got away from this one for a little bit. The trade release sign. It's just that. It's pretty simple. Yeah, I named 3 players. We got talking off air a little bit what we could do with this, with the Montreal Expos, which was Canada's second team. But you start looking back, just because it didn't win a World Series. Man, their early years when the Jays were in the 80s, the Jays were winning divisions. There were some players that played with the Expos that were second to none. Man, these like a lot of Hall of Famers that were like, holy cow, that guy was good, and that guy was here, and that guy's was great, and the way it turned out, and some of the trades that ended up. But trade release sign. I named 3 players. Dave's going to say trade him, release him, or sign the guy forever and ever. Dave, what's up? Before we get to the game here, what's your memories of the Expos?
I was a pretty young baseball fan, but I do remember I was an Expos fan before I was a Jays fan, because the Expos were good. I remember there was a season where there was a baseball strike, so they had a first half of the season and a second half of the season, and the Jays lost to, I think,
the Dodgers.
The Dodgers to go. Steve Rogers was the ace.
Yeah.
I remember watching that game.
Blue Monday. Rick Monday hit a home run. Blue Monday.
And then Montreal had a really good team with like Moises Alou, and Felipe Alou was the manager of that team, I believe. And they had Pedro Martinez on that team. They had Larry Walker on that team. and they were ready to take a run. They had the best record of baseball. The World Series was canceled
Yeah.
because of a strike, and then they had to
94.
dismantle.
Yeah.
So those are my memories, and those I like cheering for Montreal, then I like cheering for Toronto. So that's, and that ball cap is mint.
That's still one of the better selling hats throughout baseball every year is the
It's a
Expos hat.
gorgeous hat.
And if they ever come back, and there's rumors every year that the first thing they got to do is get a new stadium, because the Big O is a dump and it should never had to let professional baseball players play in there. Excuse me. But if they get a new building downtown, there's always been rumors that maybe they'll get a team there. There was rumors that the Tampa Bay Rays would have a split season there, which is a ridiculous idea. But no, the Expos, just victim of circumstance, I guess, the way with the World Series and the way the season was canceled. Anyways, trade release sign. Maybe we'll do two little quick things on this. First thing, I'm going to go with we'll go with outfielders here. I believe all three are Hall of Famers. All three are all-time greats in Expos lore. One guy won an MVP for sure in Andre Dawson. He did it with the Cubs. But I'm going to go Tim Raines, Andre Dawson, and Vladimir Guerrero. You have your all three in their prime on the same team. What are you doing with those three guys, Dave? Trade release sign. You got Raines, Dawson, Guerrero.
Whew.
And you have to do it. Gun to your head.
Okay. I'm going to release Tim Raines. The reason being, he was a Ricky Henderson type player. A lot of speed on the base paths, but that the attributes that made him lethal are going to be diminishing returns as he gets older. Dawson and Vladimir, they both were hitters, and hitters well into the end of their careers. Vlad would hit anything, but Dawson things. I'm going to trade Vladimir Guerrero. I'm going to keep Andre Dawson.
I kind of agree with you there. I think
Vlad, and he would never strike out.
He would hit wedge shots out of the dirt somehow. Like, it was unbelievable.
He one-hopped one out of the park. Yeah, it's like his back control and vision are second to none at the plate. But I'm gonna, because he was just, I'll say more explosive and better defensively.
You know what? You'd get more in return for Guerrero at a trade deadline deal, right? So you would get more for Guerrero. I think Dawson was a better defensive guy as well. So yeah, I signed Dawson forever. Yeah, I agree with you on that one. I think that's a pretty fair statement. Let's go to another one here, Dave. Three guys in the hall that they're going to the Hall of Fame. Expos. They didn't have their greatest years with the Expos, but they were their formidable years when they got there. They signed there. They were drafted by, or however it worked out. Ended up getting signed up elsewhere. Three Hall of Fame guys: Randy Johnson, Pedro Martinez, Larry Walker, all Expos. What are you doing trade release sign with those three guys? All in their primes.
Well, it's really kind of funny that we're playing trade release sign, and you just given me six Hall of Famers names.
Yeah.
And the Expos traded every single one of them.
Yeah.
All right. So Pedro's my pitching Ricky. Like, he's my guy.
Top five,
top
five pitcher of all time.
Nowhere. Yeah, he stays with me. Once again, I'm gonna The position player is the one I'm going to outright release. Larry Walker, I liked him a lot. I think he was a very good player. He was an effective player. He was an all-star when he was with Montreal. I do believe, even though I am a fan of the Colorado Rockies, I do believe hitting stats are a little bit inflated over there. And you can get a boatload for Randy Johnson. Trading Randy Johnson, I'm keeping Pedro Martinez, and don't take it personally, Larry Walker.
Larry, if you're listening from Maple Ridge, BC tonight, you're getting traded in my books, or you're getting released in my books too. You got pitching. Pitching wins championships. You hitting 350 or 320 or whatever. That's just a number on a day, but pitching wins championships. I don't care. It's surprising that you would, Dave. You were so eager to get rid of a guy going into the Hall of Fame with your favorite shortstop of all time, Derek Sanderson Jeter. They go hand in hand. Guys that you would you just stay with forever. I'm thinking.
Well, Chesterfield's only as good as it's worn out, right?
There you go.
You need a new one.
That's just it. So trade release sign. It's a fun little thing we haven't done for a long time, but the Expos edition, a lot of Hall of Fame names right there, Dave. It's quite astonishing that the Expos are. Man, you look back, and the Jays have been around a lot longer, obviously, than the Expos have. Maybe that we'll do that a comparison one day. How many Hall of Famers were Blue Jays and how many Hall of Famers were Expos? The numbers aren't that far apart.
Well, so of these players that you mentioned today, all of them are Hall of Famers. Well, is Reigns? I'm not 100%.
I think Reigns got in. We'll check. Tim, check up on that for us.
But Gary Carter is for sure in the Hall of Fame, and there's one more that I think is in the Hall of Fame. Rats. Wish I remembered his name.
Doesn't matter.
It's not important, but
I think the numbers are pretty close.
What a ridiculous assembly of talent.
Yeah,
it's
awesome.
Last
time they were around to what they had the Hall of Fame guys they had
playing in an awful stadium on AstroTurf, old school AstroTurf, like carpet on cement.
Yeah, these my parents' backyard. We used to have that kind of stuff. Anyways, this week's Rick Award, we had our biggest response ever for an _award.rick. A kid from ASU had I'll have his name written down somewhere. He had a late surge. He was up against Ohtani, but Ohtani prevailed with I think it was 58% of the vote. It was a close one. What was it? I got it written down. I should have been tweeting about him all week long. He actually participated in the record. Ethan Long from ASU. Sorry about that, Ethan.
Pac-12 Player of the Week. I watched your highlight reel, man. It was
the kid can play a little bit, and for a young kid, he's only a freshman. Congratulations on your Pac-12. Sorry we couldn't put a Rick Award on your mantle this week, but maybe keep her going.
Ohtani said we'll get you some stickers.
Talk to us. We'll send you some swag. You can put them around ASU. Absolutely, get some stickers. Maybe we'll throw a hat on your coconut too.
Rick Award nominee. We'll get something special.
We'll get you something special. Buy something pretty for yourself. Anyways, Ohtani pulled it off this week with the Rick Award. Thank you very much.
Back to back.
Man, that guy's a player.
He's such a physical specimen. I'm always like, when I see him, it's like, Jesus, that guy's big and he's fast.
We talked about it before, Dave, and like Ohtani's, man, and you hate to knock on a guy like Mike Trout, but I want to watch Ohtani more than I've ever wanted to watch Trout. Maybe it's just the publicity thing or something, or what it is.
The Deion Sanders, Bo Jackson effect, right? He's a two-sport athlete in the same sport.
Yeah,
never been done since Babe Ruth, right? Like on an effective level.
Dave, 1420 podcast, the Rick Awards, thing that's going pretty strong. It's gaining some leverage throughout the old Twitter world and the podcast and everywhere else. Who do you got this week for your Rick Award nominees?
This crossed my Twitter feed this week, and I was a little bit hesitant because the kid's so young, but this the stat I'm gonna say right now is so fucking impressive. Frank Mazzucato, he's a senior high school pitcher out of Manchester, Connecticut.
Mazzucato, that's Ukrainian, right?
Well, no, or Polish. I can't. I'm not good with.
I'm fairly certain he's not Ukrainian or Polish. He's probably. I'm thinking with Frank Mazzucato. I'm going to say he's Italian.
I don't see race. I don't read race. Okay. I don't care if his name's Vinny or Jerome. Like I don't know what that means.
Jerome Mazzucato.
Nonetheless, Frankie Mazzucato, out of Manchester, Connecticut, as a pitched his fourth no-hitter in a row. 4 consecutive no-hitters.
Wow.
And I realize it's high school ball, but like you're not 110 batters. Someone's got to walk into something sooner or later.
Yeah, you can only and you can only do who's against you. You only play who's against you. Right? And
yeah.
That's impressive stuff.
And his last start, the last one, he struck out 19. So that tells me he has more than just gas.
And
but nonetheless, Frankie.
And that's in a 7-inning game. So 21 out of 21 batters, 19 strikeouts. That's something else. Wow.
Is it 7-inning games in high school in the States? Like I don't.
Games, yeah.
The article didn't elaborate on that because I was wondering the same thing. But nonetheless, 19 strikeouts, 4th no in a row.
Highly impressive. Frank Mazzucato, that Dave's Rick Award nominee of the week. If you guys have one you want to put out to us, let us know at Rick Award _ Rick on Twitter, or get back to us on before I give you mine. Get back to us on all the other social media accounts that we have. I'm going to go with something today, Dave. That this is something that this might be a walk away with what happened today in that Cubs game. But Javi Baez, the ground out to first, basically stole home to run back over to second base, 2 overthrows, run scored. It's hard to describe to a listener. You have to see it to believe what happened there, Dave. You sent it to me earlier on. You have to see it to believe what was going on there. It's something Rick would have kind of done, but Rick would have just gotten second anyways. But Javi Baez is my wow, what a play that was. He's my Rick Award nominee for the week. Dave, what's your thoughts on what you saw this afternoon?
It's something, anytime you see, like, first of all, this is kind of what makes baseball a league of its own, because the zaniness that may occur at any time.
Yeah.
So that happened at 2 p.m. this afternoon. It was like, really? I just fucking saw that? Like, it's anytime there's a zany play, there's usually a little bit ineptness from the other team.
Has to be.
Like someone forgetting to tackle somebody. Someone like in that Leon Lett, like touching the ball, trying for the touchdown, if you remember that game I'm talking about. There's always usually a fuck up on the other team, and today's fuck up was the first baseman for Pittsburgh. He walked Baez back down to home plate 85 feet, where all he had to do was 2 feet away was first base. He had to touch it with his toe.
The response that the Cubs bench had watching it, laughing about what was happening, was priceless to me. That's what that was the take that I got out of it. Like, and then the overthrow, and then there was no one at first base to get the guy.
And then the alertness from Baez.
Because the other guys weren't running to like it. So, anyways, I retweeted on the Twitter account. I'm sure anybody who's watching or listening to the 1420 podcast right now has seen it. But man, I'm not gonna downplay Frankie Mancato's his
4 no-hitters.
4 no-hitters, because that's unbelievable. And for it to make
but alert
but this Javi Baez thing is something else. They're both something both something you won't see in the baseball world in a short period of time like that. So that's our two Rick Award nominees for this week. We'll put them up on Twitter probably tomorrow morning. Get everything going on that. Make sure you guys vote. It's a fun thing. We had our biggest reception last week on it. We'll start tagging some other people, and we'll try to. Once you vote, leave a comment as to why, because that might add a little bit more to it. Why you think this guy should have won? If you
vote and reply,
vote, reply, and everything else. And if you have a guy that you think should be nominated for this week's award, put that in there too. We'll add it to the poll, and we'll go from there. Anyways, 1420 podcast, wherever you get your podcast, and it's summertime's coming. We got some good news in Alberta here this week, so things are opening up a little bit. Still stay safe. Still do your thing. Do what we got to do to get out of this thing 100%, and we can maybe go to a hockey game or a baseball game in the near future like they're doing down in the States, because it's they look like they're having a lot of fun down there, Dave.
It looks like it. Can't wait for it. It's going to come, and I'm going to be there for it. Smart speaker. Play 1420 podcast, please.
There you go. Everywhere you get your podcast.
Wait. You got to wait for that chick to talk.
She just talked, so I got her.
Okay.
Thanks for the update, Dave. Anyways, she sounds really demanding, so I'm not going to piss her off any more than we probably have by talking over her.
Kind of sounds like Charlie Brown's teacher.
She's very demanding, so I'm not going to upset her because I don't do very good with demanding women for some reason. Anyways, 1420 podcast, usually Thursdays. Well, lately we've been talking a lot of music stuff, and it's... we've been bantering about different things, how to go about this. There's some other things we got planned for future shows, but Dave came up with this one last night, sent him the topic list, and came up with this arena rock songs. I know we've discussed it in the past about some arena rock songs that can probably go away, that shouldn't be played anymore, but then there's some that should stay forever. And we all have our favorites. We go to a game, whether it be a hockey game or a baseball game, between periods, between pitches, or whatever it is, entrance songs, pump up songs, or whatever it is. Music's a huge part of the sports world, whether it's before a game, when you're dressing room, everything else. Music is a huge part of the sports world. And I'm sure music has changed over the years in dressing rooms, but there are some old staples that I hope that haven't gone away. Some songs I remember listening to when I was in dressing rooms playing junior hockey or going to hockey games. There's just some songs that like, okay, yeah. And you remember them from the past. Dave, give me your two. Here's how we're going to do this. You name two. I'll name two. We'll agree on one of them. And then we'll put it up on Twitter for a poll vote. Which song is better?
I like that. That's the way we have to format it. But the way you let that in, though, we said arena rock songs tonight. And when what you just described,
okay,
is not arena rock. When I like the songs
I
have
to Boston and like
no. This is what I'm. That's when
okay,
we say arena rock. What I took that to mean. I guess we should break down like what we're talking about. But like when you're a fan in the stands and in a break in the period, the music that comes on over the speaker.
Yeah.
While you're there. Not as a player, as a spectator. That's what I took arena rock to mean.
Okay, I'm the same way.
Okay. Yeah. So with like these aren't songs to get you pumped up as a player before the game.
Well, Dave, back when I was young and handsome and playing sports, we listened to the exact same. We told the guy what to play. So what?
Oh yeah, but these are the songs I hear as a fan, in the arena.
Clapping the hands.
Yes.
Leading the cheers.
Something like that. Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Exactly.
I'm with 100%.
Okay, and like so on that note, I am gonna say the one arena rock song I never want to hear in my life ever again at any place at any time is the worst one, and I have my two good ones.
Yeah.
I never need to hear Cotton Eye Joe again.
That's right.
That is awful. I would rather listen to YMCA every time, which I probably will.
Cotton Eye Joe should never have met the vernacular of human beings.
They play that fucker
here in Lethbridge, they play that quite often. They've been doing it since I was I don't know, 19, 20 years old. going to watch the Hurricanes play. Section J, row 4, sitting there. They would play Cotton Eye Joe, and they're the clapping and the things. They still do it. It's terrible.
I remember
Anyway.
20 years ago in Edmonton, in the Doug Waite Guerin years, like when I was going to those games.
Yeah.
There was a time that at one period break, whether it be a commercial break, they would play Cotton Eye Joe, and I even knew, like, I'd been to like 6 games in 2 years,
Yeah.
and there was one fucking knucklehead that got out of his seat, but like I don't know if he was a plant, but like, oh, he really Cotton Eye Joe'd it, and
they put him up on the big screen and whatever.
Oh yes, thanks.
Hey, give us ones that when you sit down and the close games happening, Dave, and things are good. You got a couple of beers in front of you, and one that really gets the old toe tapping and the blood flowing.
Raise a little hell, raise a little hell.
Really?
Raise a little hell. Love that. Fuck, that's a hockey game.
I did not expect that from you.
If that doesn't get people clapping when it's a close game and there's a face off, a key face off coming on, and they got about a minute, raise a little hell.
Yeah. Okay. That's not bad. A side note. New Year's 2018, the producer and I, we were living in the Hat still. We came here to Lethbridge, and I didn't give anybody a call because I was fairly certain the answer would have been go to hell, to raise a little hell. Because we went to the show at the exhibition grounds. The Trooper concert New Year's Eve was actually not bad. It was fun.
Funny, when Luke was living in Westlock, Kaylee and I were at a convention. He was at a convention at West Ed. Excuse me. And Trooper was playing at whatever that club was in West Ed. Reds, I think it is.
Yeah, Reds.
Yeah. And he opened the show and closed the show with Raise a Little Hell.
Man, it was now we don't want to spend too much time on Trooper here, but one, I don't know how many Junos Troopers won, but it's not enough. And two, is it possible that there is more than one rendition per se of Trooper, because they seem to be playing in every casino across Canada all the time?
I think how it goes with bands like that, I don't know what it's like in the States, but people have to, band members or whatever, have to relinquish their rights. Okay, we're going to go on tour. And that's what Axl actually did with Guns N' Roses.
Yeah.
So it's still Guns N' Roses because people quit the band. And that's what it is for Trooper. But I do know the dude that does this singing,
he has to be there.
He's there. Right? Like that's him. I think he's Trooper now.
Like there's no way Trooper can play 3 different Saskatchewan casinos on a Saturday night in February at the same time.
Yeah, and like
something fishy there.
Yeah, if you're the original drummer, you were 12 when this hit came out.
Okay, so you're going to Raise a Little Hell, Trooper, as your 1 seed.
That's my 1 seed
in the arena rock.
I love hearing that song at when I'm at a hockey game or whatever.
Oh man, that's a lot of pressure because I didn't expect that at all. Pucks dropping. Just a fight just happened. Pucks dropping. You got a 3-2 hockey game. I'm not playing the whole song, but a good snippet of Rock and Roll All Night and Party Every Day by Kiss. I got that as my 2 seed. Actually, that's
okay.
What I got.
Oh, you know what? Like there's absolutely no contest at all. Like Trooper wins that head to head all day, every day.
It depends what country you're in, man.
Well, we're talking about us right now. And I get it. I don't mind that song. I kind of like that song. You know what? I will say this about that song. I've never once turned it up.
Well, I have.
I have not. I've turned up Raise a Little Hell on the radio.
I'm surprised at your take at Raise a Little Hell. Okay, I'll give you your Raise a Little Hell.
Okay, so now you go first with your 1 seed.
I got Living on a Prayer by Bon Jovi. Your team's down by 1. I got Bon Jovi, Living on a Prayer. You're halfway there. Johnny used to work on the docks. They turned it up a little bit. Everybody in the building knows it. I got Living on a Prayer, Bon Jovi.
That's a pretty good one. That's a pretty good one. I wrote down quite a few songs today, and I did not have that one down. So Living on a Prayer is a good one. So I'm going to give you one. My number 2 seed is not when it's tied, but this is now like second period. It's a 5-3 game, but the for the home team. So everybody's feeling good, having a couple more beers. And then during commercial break, Rock and Roll Part 2 comes on.
Gary Glitter, Rock and Roll Part 2.
Hey!
Not bad. The problem that you got with that
doesn't pump anyone up.
It's a great goal song. Like when a goal's scored, Rock and Roll
Correct.
Part 2 is that song. And Gary got himself in trouble down in Jesus, what country was that where grown men go to touch little boys? I gotta go with Bon Jovi versus Rock and Roll Part 2. But Rock and Roll Part 2, everything that happened with Gary Glitter, let's take that out of the picture.
Yeah, that's not.
That was a great goal song, and that was the
goal song to
a lot of teams had that. It was a precursor to Chelsea Dagger.
Yeah.
Right? Like it was a very close precursor to Chelsea Dagger. The crowd would Rock and Roll Part 2, they pump their fist. But I gotta go with Bon Jovi on that one, Dave.
I'm gonna give you Living on a Prayer.
Okay, so what we got for the first Arena Rock pump up the fans edition of the 14th.
No, it's not pump up. It's Arena Rock.
Arena Rock of the of fans.
Arena Rock. Let's just call it Arena Rock.
Going a little bit. We got Raise a Little Hell versus Bon Jovi's Living on a Prayer. We'll put that up on the Twitter account. You guys vote. I was Dave. I'm quite shocked at the Trooper. I didn't expect Trooper to come out of your yap tonight. There's no doubt about that.
Well, and neither did I. But like I said, when I had some time to think about it, I wrote down some tunes, and it wasn't my number 1 seed until we were recording, and I kept looking at my list, and that's the one I kind of like to hear, and brings back fond memories.
You have a pre-teenager, Dave. Does he appreciate Trooper?
Not Trooper. Do you know he appreciates the Sheepdogs? He appreciates Dave Matthews Band and Queen.
See, I'm down on Queen lately, man. Like I've heard enough Queen, I think, in my lifetime. I'm good.
See, but I've been listening to Queen before it was cool. And so did he. Like, and and I listen to ABBA as well. He likes ABBA as well, but he also likes his Harry Styles or whatever the fuck these British guys are these days, and what have you. He likes stuff.
Funny story: Memorial Cup 2013. My nephew, the sound guy, Jimmy Neutron, boy genius. His first concert was Trooper at some Saskatoon Quonset where they had this thing, the Memorial Cup party. It was a lot of fun. Like it was a lot of fun. That was his first show, 2013. He was 11, 12 years old, wherever he was. And my sister.
So when did they take stage? So it must have been a late night for the boy.
Well, it's funny because the game happened. After the game, we went to because they didn't have the facility at SAS Place, so they bussed everybody to this convention center thing. I don't even know what it was.
Now fill me in. So you buy a ticket to the game, and whether you want to or not, you get bussed to the.
If you want to go to the after, there was a fan fest with a concert. So your sister
stage. And his dad all got on the bus with
just me, my sister, and because I drove from Medicine Hat to Saskatoon. I flew them from Parks or Nanaimo to Saskatoon. So it was just Elaine, Jimmy, and myself went to the game, and then the shuttle bus were going back and forth from this convention center thing. And then we went back afterwards, not knowing if kids were allowed into this thing. We paid, like me and Elaine paid, and we said, hey, are kids allowed in? And all the people in the front were like, well, I don't see why not.
No one said no.
Swear to God. Swear to God. They said,
and it's
well,
like a pub. It's kind of like
well,
a university cabaret.
It was a cabaret, yeah.
Yeah.
Beer gardens, troopers playing, and everyone just said, well, I don't see why not. And I'm 100% certain that Jim was the youngest person in there by far. Whether he was the only underage person, I don't know. But
he's gonna have serious memories about that. You know what? Like,
because
when you're a kid, and then whatever your synaptic mills are twitching in your brain, like memories are being made. Like your adrenaline's flowing. It's like there's a lot
because that's when I think that might have been his first love of guitar. Because I remember him going up to the stage. Me and my sister sat back a little bit and we were watching him, and he went up the stage, was watching and having a good time. It was quite funny. Like I said, I don't know if he's the only underage person there, but he was by far the youngest. So, Jim, I hope you play some Trooper to close out the show tonight. But anyways, Dave, go ahead.
He wasn't the only. He was the only underager not trying to buy drinks.
That's a guarantee, because the rest of the underagers had a Pilsner in their hand and didn't look as underage. So, it was quite funny. We got a good kick out of that. Elaine was like, "Am I a bad parent?" I said, "No, you're a perfect parent.
Not tonight."
Not tonight. You had a good time.
Anyways, if this is every Saturday, then maybe, but not tonight.
We'll give her one shot. You're in Saskatoon and you're away from the grandparents, so whatever. It was fun. Anyways, 1420 podcast. Everywhere you get your podcast, make sure you talk to people about the show. We enjoy putting them out there for you guys. If you have any topics you guys want to hit on, but more importantly, participate in the social media things are a lot of fun. Comment on everything you guys vote for. We have the Trooper Bon Jovi. That might be the first time Trooper Bon Jovi comes up as a head-to-head on a Twitter poll. I'm thinking in Twitter history, but we'll see how that goes. Raise a Little Hell versus Living on a Prayer. Both great tunes, both great arena rock, get the crowd going a little bit songs. Dave, good show tonight. What do you think?
Yeah, no, I had a lot of fun tonight. It's always fun going off the rails a little bit. I think that's where I have the most fun, when we're on a non-linear path. But anyways, weather's gonna be great this weekend. Gonna kick a little ass on that yard. Watching the game 6 before Tuesday. We'll watch a game 6 and a 7, maybe.
Got a 7 Friday
before
night.
Tuesday.
Got a game 6 on. Got a game 6 on Saturday night with the Leafs, and who knows? There might be a game 7 on Monday before we talk to you again. Anyways, 1420 podcast. Like I said, where you get to, where you listen to your podcast, connect with us everywhere you got on social media. Anyways, take care of each other. More importantly, take care of yourself. So we need you around. Keep your stick on the ice. And Dave, what else?
Jimmy, don't swing at high pitches. And Jimmy, raise a little hell.
Raise a little hell, my friend.
Listen to 1420 on Spotify and then raise some hell.
Raise a little hell in the back of a bright white sports car.
I had that written down.
That's a good one.